want to hit a little bit
Sure.
on the Lions.
Oh, please.
Just a tad. And we'll get to them a little bit in the speed round as well.
Cool.
But specifically with Jared Goff, this is something I have asked Dave Burkett. I've asked Justin Rogers. I've asked Kyle Meinke. I've asked my friends at the water cooler. Everyone's got a different take on this. I go to Jared Goff. What I see with this organization, we've played the clips in the past where they introduced Jared Goff. The Lions Twitter's throwing it out there. And he's being greeted in the hallways like he is a liberator from their shackles. They're giving him bear hugs. Man, we got you. You're in the house, Jared Goff. Yeah, we love you, Jared. Like, to me, I do not buy this takeaway, this narrative, to use a cliche, that Jared Goff is just a bridge quarterback in the mind of Brad Holmes, whose mind is by far the most important in this process. Whatever you think of Jared Goff, we can get to that in a minute. But Brad Holmes' mind, jump into his brain, because everyone, this is like 50-50 on the people I've talked to. I think that Brad Holmes thinks that Jared Goff has gotten a bad rap, is legitimately a lot better than what he's shown the prior 2 years, and that he's a guy that can get back to that all-pro level. A lot of people think Nick Baumgartner, I just talked about it with him the other day. He thinks Goff's just holding it down until they move on. Where do you land on Jared Goff in Brad Holmes' mind?
Okay, because I think just me, he is a bridge quarterback. But Holmes has come out and said he doesn't view him that way. And now how much of that is what you have to say and how much of it is what he actually believes? And I think as someone who pounded the table to trade up and get him when he was in LA running the draft and doing all the scouting, he likes Jared Goff. When Goff arrived into town, he didn't have to restructure his contract, but in doing so, anchors him for 2 years. Do I think Brad Holmes would like Jared Goff to be successful? Yeah, because it makes his job a whole hell of a lot easier. Then you don't need to go through the draft and have your name tied to a college quarterback. And your whole job is going to be, did you get that pick right? Instead, you can say, I already got my guy. Now, there's a bunch of problems with that. One, he's not a great quarterback, and he's paid like one. $30 million. I think that trade was as much about him maybe wanting to get Goff back as LA saying it's untenable for us to have Jared Goff's contract as a game manager. And when you talk to Lions fans who believe in Goff, they often sell you that like he's going to revitalize his career as a game manager, right? They're going to run the ball, play defense, short throws, timing routes, game managing, right? Would you pay a guy $30 million to be a game manager, or is that a bridge? Because he's a bridge. And if you're concerned at all, because I think the natural follow-up is, well, if Holmes likes him, will he be beholden? Will he do too much to make him the quarterback long-term? I think it's going to play out on the field. And that's why I'm not concerned about being a Lions fan who has to watch Jared Goff for more than a year or two at most. He is one of the 10 worst starters, and he's going to play on one of the worst teams. I mean, you tell me how that's going to play out on Sundays, because I have a feeling of how it's going to play out. Well, and it's crazy to me, because you got to say it with a straight face, because you're already grinning. Are the Lions the place you go to revitalize your career?
No.
Because you're doing a lot of selling if you're somebody out there who goes, this is where Goff remakes himself. He's throwing to Larry Moe and Curly. And no, seriously. So you tell me how he's going to have a big season this year. You tell me how he's going to justify his salary and tell them you don't have to draft a quarterback. Because I see the season ending with the Lions with a losing record, not a hot take, with Goff not being a rousing success, and a host of options available in the draft. I mean, that's the collision course we're headed for.
So that's what you think.
Sure.
And you've acknowledged what Brad Holmes has said.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, what does Brad Holmes think? Because that's the question. Because that's what really matters.
He thinks Jared Goff could revitalize his career in Detroit.
So not a bridge.
He doesn't think he's a bridge.
Yeah,
I believe that he doesn't think he's a bridge. I think he views him as someone who they can get right, quote unquote, get right. I think the problem is he doesn't have a rocket arm. He's not super mobile. He's not going to command a huddle. He doesn't have a bunch of mismatch receivers. And his head coach is not a strategic X's and O's guy. He's a motivator. So they're not going to have some otherworldly scheme that's going to make him play above his talent level. His talent level is mediocre, and he's going to play on a mediocre football team. So he's not going to justify himself as the quarterback of the future. You can go in, just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to happen. Detroit fans know that well enough Just because you want him to be the quarterback of the future doesn't mean it's actually going to happen.
I'm going to mark down the date and the time that someone was more cynical about the Lions on this show than me, because it took.
By the way, I'm not
years.
anti-Holmes or anti-Campbell. I want to give them the clear runway to do this the right way, and I think the draft was the good start. They didn't rush to fix this immediately in one offseason. They didn't spend big or draft a shiny object. They know it's going to be a couple years. And the genius part of the Goff restructure is you get him to help transition a future quarterback if you go that route. There's no pressure to take a quarterback last year or to start a QB immediately. You get the benefit of building up a roster around him so that he can be successful, whomever that quarterback is, which is a really mature, not a knee-jerk kind of way to build a football team.
Well, I mean, let's not get it twisted. This is not a referendum on Dan Campbell or Brad Holmes at all. The fact that Jared Goff is standing here in Detroit, because that trade would have been a no-brainer if Goff wasn't even part of it.
Right.
It was necessary in terms of making the salary
To get
match.
it done.
But people forget. Everyone always forgets. I remember what people say in real time because I have just a fantastic memory.
Oh, there you go.
There was an actual, and I think you'll echo this, there was an actual debate whether Matt Stafford would even command a single first-round draft pick. Adam Beydoun, my friend over at Woodward Sports, was like, I don't think he'll even get a first-round pick. I'm like, come on. He's going to get at least one first-round pick. Take Goff out of it. Shoot him to Mars. I don't care. They got 2 first-round picks, and nobody even talks about the third-round pick, which is like a real chip.
No, it was a hell of a trade. It was a really good move.
It was a great trade no matter what happens with Goff. But I have said repeatedly on this show, and thank you for being the living embodiment of it, poor Jared Goff. I think the guy gets a bad rep. You see, he's one of the worst stars in the league. Chris Sims, whom I respect, who's
31st.
Yeah, thanks. See, you're smart. You know this shit. You came prepared. 31st. Here's what I'll say for Jared
Get him
Goff.
24th the year before.
Yes, he's throwing the Hansel and Gretel or Larry Moe Curly, whatever you said. He's got no receivers. Okay, we all know that. Okay, given. I don't know if you're a Pro Football Focus guy. Yeah. Have you seen Jared Goff's numbers? Here's the argument for him being okay. Just calm down.
No, tell me. I want to hear this. I don't know. What is the Pro Football? Where does he excel?
I'm going to speak, Jim. Calm down. Wait, let me make the argument.
I'm waiting with bated
because I know
breath.
you're ready. You're ready to go. Just let me make the argument. Jim Costa needs to hear this because you are the biggest cynic. You're the one spinning this that Jared Goff's just a train wreck. There is one context in which Jared Goff is exceptional by any objective measure. Pro Football Focus, not perfect, but all the guys they say are good. All the guys they say suck end up cut. There's something to their analysis. Right. Jared Goff is one of the best 5 or 6 quarterbacks on the planet when he has time to throw. That's adjusted. Obviously, everyone's better when they have time to throw.
Right.
Adjusted.
Even among, yes.
Yeah. All relative. One of the 5 best quarterbacks walking the earth when he has time. He's one of the worst on the planet when he doesn't have time. This team, whether they end up being good or not, has dumped the Brinks truck of assets into the offensive line, the Brinks truck of assets in draft capital and free agency, whatever, in their running back room. If there's any guy in the league that should, in theory, have time to throw and maybe throwing to Hansel and Gretel, it's Jared Goff. He has been objectively, not a small sample size, like a 6-year sample size at this point, has been exceptional in that context. I think that is the argument where he could be. I'm not saying he's great.
No, I know.
Stafford's better,
right.
Obviously. There's a reason why those picks came along.
Yeah.
But I just think he gets a bad rap. I could see him surprising people like you that think he's
so what you're describing is, and I've also seen he's not bad when play action throws, right? He was really good in LA when they had the run game going. What you're describing is ideal conditions. He can be a really good quarterback, right?
Ideal conditions specifically related to time in the pocket.
Sure,
the guy
sure.
sucks.
Sure.
He is scared to death if he faces
But
pressure.
so one of the things that's going to work against him, and I know we look at this O-line and think this is a really stout group. Things make your life difficult as an offensive lineman, like when you're trailing in games and teams are pinning their ears back. Your run game isn't nearly as ferocious when you're trailing in games. This defense is going to have them trail. They're not favored in a single game this upcoming season. They're going to trail in quite a few football games. So, yeah, sure. If Jared Goff was playing for a really well-run organization and everything was like, check the tire pressure, gas in the car before you leave, yeah, he could go out there and do the job. And he went to a Super Bowl in a similar situation. But you really have to have all your ducks in a row for Jared Goff to be that guy. And at that point, LA committed a lot of money to him, and they realized it's really hard to get all our ducks in a row when we're paying this guy $30 million to be our quarterback.
He's definitely overpaid. I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah. So I just want to know the scenario where he's not a bridge quarterback, and in 2 years they go to him and go, you need to take less money. You know, a lot of athletes, starting quarterbacks in football that are like, you know what, you're right. I'll take less money to stay and be the quarterback of the team. I just don't see it
especially
happening.
when it's the Detroit Lions. I mean, yeah, they're not getting a lot of hometown.
So again, there might be the best of intentions from Brad Holmes, but I think we know how the story ends.
So you're totally out on Goff. I mean, look, far be it for me to say, how dare you question the impending success of the Detroit Lions? I mean, I don't know if you know who you're talking to. I'm like the biggest.
No, and I know
like,
that.
I get it. I think, look, it's not an argument saying Goff is a top 5 quarterback or will be a top 5 quarterback. He's obviously not. That'd be ridiculous. Nobody's saying that. I can already see the assholes on Twitter, saying that I said he's a top 5 quarterback. Everyone's a jerk. Not saying that. I'm just saying this. He's a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. I
said bottom 10.
Well, no, you said bottom 10.
Some people.
Chris Sims
has him bottom 2.
Chris Sims has a bottom 2.
Yeah.
Some of the guys he had in front of him haven't even played yet. I mean, I
think he had Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, both of them.
Taysom Hill's like 8 spots higher. It's not like he just eked out. I think he had him like 6, 7, 8 spots higher. Preposterous. I'm sorry. Give me Jared Goff any day over Taysom Hill, but whatever. I digress. I think he's gotten a bad rap. We'll get into Lions a little bit more with the speed round, but we'll finish it there.
Oh, before you go to another tab, please like, subscribe, and follow for more clips and highlights. Good? Okay.
See, beautiful. That's a natural at work.